In the interest of Isaiah and Ariana Moya, we're here today set for an adversary hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming. And I'm recording to the Zoom cloud. I don't have a reporter today, so if you need a copy, let me know and we'll make it available. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements then.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent the father, Charles Moya. I'm present, ready. I don't think he's going to be able to log on due to technical issues.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right, so as discussed earlier, but not technically on the record, Mr. Eldridge, your client has indicated he is agreeable to the department being named temporary managing conservator. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, he is. His only request, I guess they had a case about 3 years ago, and he said he doesn't want to do the parenting classes again, but he'll do everything else. I told him that's up to you, though.
Okay, all right. I guess we'll see how the rest of this turns out, and then we'll deal with that. Okay, then Mr. Trott, who's your first witness today?
Call Cassandra Vasquez at first, Your Honor.
Okay, and just for the record, we've attempted to serve mom, but have not been able to yet. Is that right?
Correct, Your Honor. It's been issued. We're trying to get it sent down to Houston to get her served, but she's aware of the case. We just have not got her served yet.
All right, we both the department and St. Francis have had contact from her just in the last few days. She was provided information on how to get the link. She's not submitted any paperwork to the court requesting a court-appointed attorney at this time. So this being our second setting on this, we're going to need to move forward. So you can go ahead and call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Cassandra Vasquez.
All right, Ms. Vasquez, if you'll raise your right hand for me, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Vasquez, would you state your name for the record, please?
Cassandra Vasquez
And Ms. Vasquez, how are you employed?
with the Department of Family and Protective Services.
And are you familiar with the case involving the Moya children that we're here on today?
Yes.
Okay. And how did the department become involved in this case?
I was assigned the investigation.
Okay. And you heard the announcement that Dad is in agreement with the department being temporary managing conservator, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that, so we'll be discussing Mom today. During the investigation, did you find out who Mom was in this case?
Yes, I did.
And what is her name?
Kimberly
Okay. Kimberly
Adams
Adams. And where does Ms. Adams reside?
in Houston, Texas.
Okay. Were you able to make contact with Ms. Adams during the investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your contact like with her? What was the conversation?
I had informed her of the allegations that were going on, and I also talked to her about the concerns with the kiddos remaining here in Amarillo without a caregiver. And I talked to her about taking the children and if she'd be willing to have them go live with her in Houston, and she declined.
Okay. What did she state anything specific, or did she just say that's not happening?
She said that she believes that if Dad Charles Moya ended up in jail because of something that happened with Ariana, that it was Ariana's fault, and that she would end up in jail as well because of Ariana's behaviors.
Okay. And at no time did Mom consider having the children placed with her instead of going into foster care?
No.
Did she state anything else during that conversation?
She said that Ariana had threatened her on multiple occasions, threatening that she would harm her as well, that she would send her back to prison, and that she didn't want to risk herself returning back to prison, as well as harming her other children in the home.
Okay. Since that conversation, the original conversation, have you had any other contact with Mom?
Yes, when I talked to her about the court hearings, I did explain to her that I was needing the paperwork that was provided to her by Ashley Delgado, and the attorney forms. I also provided her with the orders by email because that's how she requested them to be obtained. And she said that she wasn't going to sign any orders without an attorney. So then again, I did request for her to fill that form out. Ashley Delgado did send them back to her and CC'd me on the email. And then she said she didn't want any other contact with me and would only be communicating with her caseworker, Charlene.
Did she state during this conversation why she wouldn't have communication with you, or just wouldn't?
She said that there was too many people involved and she didn't see any reason to have to keep communicating with me.
Okay. Even though you're the one trying to get the documents for her to help her.
Yes,
Okay. And when was your last communication with her?
yesterday.
Okay. And that was the same comment. She was not going to allow the children to be placed with her.
Yes.
And did she state whether she would try to appear, or did she want to appear for the hearing?
The only thing that she said was that she would obtain the link from her caseworker, Charlene, when I asked her if she had already received it. And she said she would get it from her. And I said, okay, I can send it to you. And she said, no, that she can get it from her.
Okay. All right. And that yesterday was your last contact with her?
Yes.
Do you believe, due to your conversations with mom, do you believe it's in the best interest of the children to stay in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department,
Yes,
and for parents to work services?
I do.
Have you had any contact with the children?
I have not.
Okay, all right. I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Eldridge?
Just a couple of questions. So my understanding is there was a case a couple of years ago with the same family, with dad and the kids. Is that correct?
Yes,
And dad did work all the services then. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And from what I understand, there's some pretty severe emotional problems, maybe, or mental health problems with Ariana. Do you know anything about that?
I believe that during that case, there was concerns for her mental health. Yes.
Okay. And I know the mother stated that she's threatened her, and dad's made comments to you during your investigation. She's threatened to kill him on multiple occasions. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And so I believe she's 16. Based on what my client's telling me, it's probably not going to be a great idea for her to ever return home with him. Do you have any thoughts on that at this point in time?
I agree that she needs to remain in care. I don't believe that situation was appropriate in her behaviors with him. I believe that he did try to do the best that he could with her.
Okay. And then his point is he doesn't want to lose Isaiah as well. Are there any of these problems that have happened with Ariana? Are there any problems like that with Isaiah and his dad?
From my understanding, there was a case last year where there was concerns that Isaiah had become aggressive with Charles.
Okay. All right. And so, and you may not know the answer to this. Is it possible to do for Mr. Moya to work services and try to obtain? He doesn't want to lose both of his kids. He wants Isaiah to come back home, but he doesn't believe he's ever going to be able to take care of Ariana. Is that any sort of possibility with the department?
I wouldn't be able to say.
Couldn't say that at this point in time. Okay. So that's all I have, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trout, any other questions for Ms. Delgado?
No more for Ms. Vasquez, but I will.
Ms. Vasquez, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. You're good, but I will call Ms. Delgado also, Your Honor.
Okay, let me just ask, Mr. Eldridge, any other questions for Ms. Vasquez?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. All right, then, let me just ask, is Ms. Vasquez free to leave at this time?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objections.
Okay, Ms. Vasquez, thank you so much. You're free to go on about your day. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Ms. Vasquez.
Ms. Delgado, if you'll raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Delgado, would you state your name for the record, please?
Ashley Delgado.
And Ms. Delgado, how are you employed?
I'm an investigator for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
And you're familiar with the case on the Moya children that we're here on today?
I am.
Have you had any contact with the mother in the case, Kimberly Adams?
I have, yes.
Okay. What was your contact like when you spoke to her?
Very similar to Miss Vasquez's. I had spoken with her on the phone, explained to her the situation, and she too as well told me then that she couldn't take them because of the threats, and she would end up in jail. So she didn't want them.
When was your last contact with her?
The 21st of April, I believe.
Okay, so at the beginning of this case?
Yes, that's when I sent her the email for all the removal paperwork and the order of protection, and with a detailed explanation of what I needed and why I needed it.
Okay, and the attorney form was included in there?
Yes.
Okay, and if you sent that paperwork to her multiple times?
I sent it to her on that day, the 21st, and Ms. Vasquez had actually requested I resend it, and I did that, I believe, yesterday.
Okay, and have you received any paperwork back from the mother?
No.
Did you receive any communication that she had received it?
Yes, she did send me a text message that she had received emails from me, but she hadn't looked at it yet.
Okay, all right. But it's here today, your recommendation and request of the court is for temporary managing conservatorship to stay with the department?
Yes,
And you believe that's in the best interest of the children?
I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Hey, Mr. Elders?
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further, Ms. Delgado?
Nothing further from Ms. Delgado, Your Honor.
Okay. I do have a couple questions. So Isaiah is also in an RTC, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. The affidavit obviously was very, very focused on Ariana and those issues between her and dad and problems, but is that the least restrictive placement for Isaiah as well?
Dad has also had issues with Isaiah. From the last case that we had worked, I believe that I worked that last case. I believe that their issues had gotten better, but the problem still arises that there is still a lot of conflict between them two. And because of his behaviors as well and his refusal to attend school and stuff like that, that was the placement that St. Francis had found for Isaiah.
Okay. But I guess my question is, I mean, I understand that's the placement that you all found, but is his level of care such that he needs to be in an RTC? I mean, I just didn't read that much in the affidavit about his having out of control type behaviors, normally not where we place a child straight in an RTC.
I mean, he does have some behaviors, yes. Behaviors such as refusal to attend school. He is not attending school because of absolute refusal. There was concerns of, his behaviors in the school, being bullied, or not being bullied, bullying other people. Conflict in the home between dad and himself, just the absolute refusal to accept him as the authoritative figure. But that in a nutshell, he does drink alcohol. He does. I've heard of him vaping or smoking weed. Pretty much that is what's going on with Isaiah. And Isaiah, for the record, was not removed before. It was just Ariana. It was never Isaiah. This is his first time being removed.
Okay. But when you say he drinks and vapes, you're talking about Isaiah, not his dad.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Part of the reason why they also got kicked out of that parental child safety placement was Isaiah bucking up to the caregiver.
Yeah, I did see that. Okay. All right, then. Um. Okay, anybody have any other questions for Ms. Delgado?
No
No.
question.
I do.
All right, go
No
right ahead.
questions.
I'm sorry, did you say no questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, all right. Okay, then, Mr. Trout, does the department rest?
Yes, Your Honor, just one other thing. There's prior orders where mom is ordered to pay, I believe it's $25 in medical support. We would just ask that be redirected to the department.
25 or 20?
Yes, ma'am. I believe it's 25. I'm looking at the order right now to make sure I'm right on that. But we would ask for the child support order or the medical support ordered in the prior order to be redirected.
What's the department's position about child support today?
Not asking for any child support at this time, Your Honor. It was not ordered in the last based upon her income in the prior order. So right now, no child support, but medical support.
And from dad, the same?
Same dad, prior orders, dad was primary. Mom was ordered to pay him the medical support. So we're not asking for anything on him either.
Right, but I was just asking if the department's asking for any support today.
No, ma'am, not today.
Okay. Okay, now does the department rest?
Department address now, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Eldridge?
Yeah, I don't have any witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, so you
It's a-
rest?
I'll rest. Yes, it's a difficult case.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
No witnesses, I rest.
Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I have been able to visit with both children in their respective placements. I do believe it's in their best interest to remain in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department. There were a few issues regarding Ariana and her medical care that I sent out some emails about, and I think those are in the works. Looking at a possibly new medication and some things that she needs for her eye. Both children would like contact with their aunt in New York. I believe we've got her information. I believe it's Nia or Nia. I don't know if I'm saying it right. They would both like some contact with her. And currently neither child is expressing an intent to want to return to dad, but that could change at some point.
Have they expressed that they aren't willing to do any visitation with him?
Ariana for sure at this point did not want contact with either mom or dad. Isaiah talked about wanting contact with mom, but wasn't sure if she would do it, if she would cooperate with CPS. But at this point, he didn't indicate any desire to visit with dad currently. I do believe that's a situation that could change as we go forward. Maybe not so much Ariana.
Okay, so we just take a look at visitation as we move along.
Your Honor, if I may, believe due to the charges dad was arrested on, he is under bond conditions of no direct or indirect contact with Ariana. There's no stipulation in there for working a CPS case, so it is a straight no contact order under the bond conditions right now. And he's still currently under a MOEP with her concern.
Just with respect to Ariana.
Ariana, yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, I will note that I spoke to Isaiah about 2 weeks ago, So I probably need to follow up with him on the school issue and make sure that he is choosing to go to school now. I do agree it would be great to get him in a less restrictive placement, but there may be some things that limit that availability.
All right, well then I do find the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of both children. I find that there would be a continuing and ongoing danger to the children to return home to either parent at this point in time. We will redirect the mother's medical support to the department. There will be no child support or medical support ordered for the father at this time, in hopes that he will use those resources to work services. Same with mom, if she chooses to. Did we do any kind of drug testing on Dad?
No, ma'am, he was incarcerated up until a couple weeks ago. And so he has not done any. I don't believe drugs are an issue with him. I think he admitted he does drink alcohol.
Yeah.
But I don't think drugs have ever been an issue with him.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure he understands. Mr. Eldridge probably told him he could be subject to a drug or alcohol screen, at some point in time, but I understand that wasn't the big concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Or we hope it's not. Okay, then I'll see everybody back for our status hearing on June 17th. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Mr. Eldridge, we can talk about service plans at that point in time as far as the parenting. I'll just tell you right now, he may have taken parenting several years ago, but these kids are now, they've really hit the teen years since he probably took those. And I think it's going to be appropriate for him to take some parenting classes that are geared towards, teenagers, kids this age. And kids this age and getting older. Because probably what he had was more geared to the age they were at the time.
I agree. And I told him that I didn't have any control over that, but that I would voice his request.
Yeah, I think it will be something different though. I mean, I think you could share with him that in all likelihood, the content will be something, that's more, to an eye of what we're dealing with teenagers and teenage behavior and all that. Because I don't remember the exact dates when Ariana was in care before, but she may have been 12 or 13 or something like that, or at the time. And I just think there's, as we all know, there are some significant changes in that time frame with most teens. So anyway, I'll let him meet with St. Francis and they'll talk about service plans, but I will say that and since Charlene is here, I would expect any parenting to be obviously geared towards teenagers. So I think it probably goes without saying, but I've said it now. So
All right.
okay. All right, well, I appreciate it, everybody. I'll see you back on the 17th for our status hearing, and I hope you all have a good rest of your afternoon.
Your Honor,
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
this is Sasha with Superior.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
wanted to make sure that the vision issue for our Ariana was addressed because I don't show anything in my system. I don't know
Okay,
if it needs a court order or if Charlene or Stacy have heard any updates on that.
let's just find out. Anybody got an update?
So the biggest issue was that she needs a replacement prosthetic eye. And I apologize, Sasha, for with your last email, I thought you guys were working on it.
I apologize because I meant to get back to you. I did assign it to someone, but I don't see any notes as far as anyone reaching out or been able to reach anybody on it. So I just didn't know if the caregiver was able to do it or if
That's a good question. There is a thought, Your Honor, that to get the coverage, that we might need a court order that orders a new prosthetic eye. So hopefully we won't need it, but maybe if we could just build that language in, it could help with that.
I have no problem with that at all. I mean, I will make, y'all tell me exactly how you want that, what you want that to say. We can do it in a separate order, or we can do it in this order.
That is a great question. Sasha, do you know what type of language might be required for that?
Usually when it's any kind of order for like equipment or anything, it's just ordering the department or St. Francis to provide whatever it is that's needed. So in this example would be a prosthetic eye.
Okay,
Just that sentence would be sufficient.
okay, so Mr. Trout, included in the order, the court is ordering that child be evaluated and fitted for a new prosthetic eye.
I think that'll make it a lot faster. So I apologize for not getting back to you, Stacy.
No, thank you so much for all your help. You really are great on these kinds of issues.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much. So, yeah, we'll just include that language, and if something else is needed, of course, y'all just let me know.
Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you all have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Judge. Take care.
Ma'am, you too.
Thank you.